My name is Fiona. I am 35 years old and I work at a bank in the city. I love my job. It gives me purpose, confidence, and a sense of direction. My husband Jason is 37. He is kind, strong, and well-liked by everyone around him. From the outside, our life looked perfect. But beneath the surface, something was quietly breaking us apart. Jason wanted children. He spoke about it often, with warmth in his eyes and a smile on his face. He imagined bedtime stories, little footsteps, and the sound of laughter filling our home. But every time he talked about it, my stomach tightened. I did not want children, not now, not ever. I wanted to grow in my career. I wanted freedom and room to become the person I was still discovering. I loved Jason deeply, but this one difference sat between us like a wall neither of us could climb. At family gatherings, Jason's mother would look at us with hopeful eyes and ask, "When will you give us a grandchild?" Everyone would laugh softly and wait for my answer. I always smiled and said something vague, "Maybe soon," or "We are just enjoying our time." The laughter would move on, but I stayed behind in my own silence, heavy with something I could not say out loud. Jason would nod along happily, never knowing how much those moments cost me. At work, I felt strong. My colleagues respected me. I made decisions, solved problems, and walked with confidence. But at home, I felt myself getting smaller. I smiled for Jason. I smiled for his family, and I kept smiling even as something inside me quietly fell apart. I was terrified of losing myself. I was terrified of saying the truth and watching everything I loved disappear because of it. Then one evening, Jason came to me after dinner and said gently, "Fiona, we need to talk." My heart jumped. I already knew what was coming. He asked me why I did not want children. And I looked at him, the man I loved more than anyone, and I finally said it, because it is not my dream. His face changed slowly, like a light fading. He told me I was cold. Cold. That word hit me somewhere deep. I was not cold. I was lonely. I was exhausted from pretending. But Jason said nothing more. He turned away and went to sleep, and I sat alone in the dark and cried. Around that time, a new client came to the bank. His name was Ryan. During our first meeting, he mentioned casually that he had never married and had no desire for children. Something in me went still. I had never heard someone say those words so easily, without apology or explanation. We began having coffee after work. Ryan listened to me in a way I had forgotten was possible. He asked questions. He remembered what I said. He made me feel like my thoughts and choices were not strange or selfish. For the first time in a long time, I felt like myself again. But I knew it was dangerous. I was a married woman. Ryan was a client. My co-workers began to notice, and whispers started spreading through the office. I told myself the friendship was harmless, but I kept choosing it anyway because it was the only place I felt free. Then one evening at home, Jason picked up my phone. A message from Ryan was on the screen. It was nothing serious, just a friendly note, but Jason's face turned dark. He raised his voice and asked why Ryan was contacting me, and then he shouted the question that broke everything open. He asked if Ryan was the reason I did not want children. I tried to speak it. I tried to explain that my feelings about motherhood had nothing to do with Ryan, that this was always my truth, that no one had changed my mind. But Jason was too hurt to hear me. He had already decided what he believed. After that night, the distance between us became permanent. Jason barely spoke to me. At work, my reputation suffered. People whispered about my personal life, my career. The thing I had sacrificed so much to protect was suddenly at risk to I felt like I was standing in the middle of a collapsing room with nowhere to run. Jason eventually gave me a choice: end the friendship with Ryan and promise to start a family with him, or the marriage would be over. He said it quietly, but the weight of those words filled the entire room. I sat with that choice for many painful days. I thought about what it meant to stay. I would have my husband, my home, and the approval of everyone around me. The whispers would stop. Life would look normal again. But I would be living someone else's dream, wearing a smile that did not belong to me, slowly disappearing from the inside. I thought about what it meant to leave. I took a slow breath. I told him that I loved him, that he was deeply important to me, but that I could not be the woman he needed. I could not give him the family he was dreaming of. Not now, and not in any future I could imagine. I told him it was my truth, and that it had always been. He said nothing. He just looked at me. And in his silence I heard the answer I already feared. Our marriage was over. I walked away carrying both grief and something unexpected. Peace. For the first time in years, I had not smiled to protect someone else's comfort. I had not swallowed my truth to make the room feel lighter. I had spoken honestly, even when it cost me everything. The road ahead would not be easy. People would not all understand. Some would judge me, but some already had. But I would not live a borrowed life anymore. I would not pretend my way through the years, hoping no one looked too closely. Choosing yourself is one of the hardest things a person can do. It does not always feel like freedom at first. Sometimes it feels like loss. But when you stop lying about who you are, something in you finally exhales. And that quiet, honest breath is where real life begins.